Hello YouTube, how's everyone doing? It's Professional here. Welcome back to my playthrough Mafia Definitive Edition. I hope that you guys are enjoying this series. Hope that you guys like the outfit for today's part here. I'm gonna try to, do the same outfits that Tommy is doing throughout the story. But let's continue here. And if you enjoy this series, do drop a like. It does help the series out a lot.
Those first days in Salieri's bar were slow. I moved crates and delivered messages. The guys busted balls and told stories from the old country. Mostly, we just waited. I got to thinking, maybe life in Salieri's crew wasn't gonna get me clipped. But what did I know?
You, Tommy?
Come on, there's still
Yeah.
gas in your tank. Get
Boss
it
is
back.
waiting for you.
Thanks.
Ignora quell'idiota. Arrenditi. Potrai combattere ancora. There he is.
Sorry I'm late.
Take a seat. And it's collection day, boys. So Tommy, you'll drive. Paulie and Sam can handle the rest. It'll be routine.
Just a handful of stops today.
Bill at the motel was a little short last month. So make sure he pays us the interest he owes.
No problem, boss. Don't lay hands on anyone unless there's no other choice. Our clients need to understand that we provide a valuable service. They need to look at you and see Santa Michael. They need to believe you'll protect them.
So let Morella stoop to breaking legs. We're better than that. But the bills still due, and everyone pays up.
We can handle it.
Go see Ralphie about a car.
Okay, boss.
Yeah, Frank is too honorable to be a gangster. That's the thing about Frank. But we'll talk about him
Vinny sent
more
to say
later.
He's got something for you, Tom. Head to him first. Probably just wants to tell you some bullshit story about some guy he whacked 20 years ago.
Deliveries have gone out, so we're running kind of low for the bar.
There's an exchange it tonight. No need to worry.
I gotta go to the market for the legal stuff, too.
Huh. I'll get you some money from the Don.
And I'm also gonna find the story collectibles on this part here, too.
Look, you guys need to be careful today, okay? Spoke to Biff. He said Morello's still bent since he lost the cars.
What's losing some motors to him? He's got at least 5 garages this side of town.
He's not wrong, Paulie.
You guys know it like I know. It's always the same. Rello does this, so Salieri does that. Some cars here, some booze there. Things calm down for a few weeks, then it all happens again. The world keeps turning.
Well, it's been a month.
A month's made of weeks. Quit whining.
Hey, just the guy.
Hey.
I saw this, and I thought of you. You ever carried a rat?
Shot him at the fair a couple of times.
Right. That don't count. Pointed at the target over there. Good posture, real mean. Now, click, bang. Brain all up the walls. Okay? Now show me a reload. Not at me, you moron. I open the chamber and away you go. All right. Last thing, needs to be hidden. Stick it in your belt. Good to go. And when shooting starts, get behind something and don't shit yourself.
Thanks, Vincenzo. I appreciate it.
Hey, the Frank and the boss is Vincenzo. To you, it's Finny. All the family working together. And Don Papone went out of the picture. Salieri and Willow.
Yeah, the story of Don Papone is pretty important. There's some people that are speculating that Enzo could possibly be Don Papone. That's what some people think from Mafia the Old Country. Oh, this here. 1 year since the crash. Okay, yeah. So, the worst panic in Wall Street's peacetime history was 1 year ago today, and no escape from the wider economic depression has followed. Unemployment reached 8% this month, but given the prevailing trend of shuttering businesses, banks, and foreclosed farmsteads, some economists warn that this could double, perhaps even triple in the coming years. Special picture feature showing scenes from every state. And about this, unemployment is going to go up to 25% during the Great Depression. So imagine that 1 out of 4 people were out of work. This is the worst economic time really in the 20th century. I think that probably the Civil War possibly could have been a worse economic time, but America got through that pretty quickly after the war ended. The economy started building back up again. But as for the Depression, the Great Depression lasted from, it was October 1939, or not 1929, when the stock market crash happened. It was Black Tuesday. And I think it was October 24th, 1929, and then it went on until 1939 with the start of World War II, and it's when America started producing weapons, employing people in factories. Businesses also started growing at the time, and that's really when America really got out of the Depression at that point. But anyways, about this is, what caused this? What happened? This is the start of the Great Depression. This is where it all began, was the stock market crash of 1929. Now, the 1920s were a really good economic time. Stuff was growing, businesses were growing, companies were growing, and what happened was people started investing in the stock market. Now, the stock market existed ever since America became independent as a country. So even after the Revolutionary War, people could still buy stocks at that time in New York. But what happened was it was a much more complicated process, and typically it was rich people that would invest in these companies. And what happened is, in the 1920s, that's when the average, common man and woman actually started buying stocks. So before that, it was typically like rich people, businessmen, that would actually buy stocks. But now what happened was it was the common man and woman that was buying stocks. And if you wanted to know how the stocks today, it's when a stock is gonna crash, you have more of a heads up today. Because today when you use different stock brokerages, and I'm not a financial expert, so don't quote me on this, but basically there's brokerages that you can use. It'll tell you how many shares are being bought, how many shares are being sold, and also tells you when a stock is falling, and you can set up your stocks to automatically sell when they're going to a specific down to a specific amount. But back then you had to basically wait until the next day. You had to look at the newspaper, you had to actually maybe go to the stock building. You couldn't pull up an app on your phone and figure out exactly what the stocks were. But what basically is how the stock market basically works, the idea of it is that people buy shares of a company. So you buy part of a company. And what happens is when that company, starts growing, the company starts doing better and better, the shares go up. So your shares in value go up, and now you sell that, and you sell that for a profit. Some people like to hold for a long time. Some people like to sell, after a couple weeks. Some people even sell in the same day. It's called day trading. But if you hold for more than a year, there is less capital gains taxes to pay. So there are long time investors also. But about the stock market crash, what happened is people were buying so much stock, and the problem is that they were buying stock of money that they didn't have. So banks at this time period were giving anybody loans. So anybody that, even if they had terrible credit, even if they didn't have the means to pay it back, banks were just giving everybody loans, and credit started becoming a thing. People could buy stuff in stores on credit, and so people started taking out massive credit, and they started putting money in the stock market, and they thought, I'm going to borrow this money, I'm going to put it in the stock market, and then I'm going to sell for a profit, give the company back a little bit of interest, and keep some extra for myself. And a lot of people did this. A lot of working class people did this. Millions of people did this. They would just borrow money they didn't have, and they would just put it all in the stock market. And rule number 1 about the stock market is only put money in the stock market that you are willing to lose. That is the number 1 tip. Is the stock market gambling? I would say it is. it's safer than a casino because at least there's some more predictability and there is skill involved in it. But there's also uncertain things that can happen. A company can crash at any moment. A scandal can happen at a company. You know, a product could fail. There's so many factors that could cause a company to basically fail. So it is gambling in a way. I would say it's safer than a casino, sure, but it is gambling in a way. So you're basically borrowing money that you don't have, and then you are buying up a bunch of stocks. And what ended up causing the stock market crash is that so many people were doing this. Millions of people were doing this. They were borrowing money they didn't have, and then they were putting that money, buying up shares in companies. And what happens in the stock market is if people buy shares in a company, if a lot of people buy shares, so if millions of people buy shares in one company, even if that company is doing crap, the shares of that company is going to increase because so many people are buying up shares. So even if the company's doing poorly, if a bunch of people buy up shares, the stock is going to rise. That's actually what happened with the GameStop stock. That was like 2 or 3 years ago. If people remember that whole thing that happened. Basically what happened was the rich people on the stock market, what they were doing is, I'm trying to remember what the term was called, shorting. That's what it was called. It was called shorting. Correct me if I'm wrong on this. But what shorting was is rich people, what they were doing is, this was a couple years ago, they were betting against the stock market. And what shorting basically is, shorting is the opposite of the stock market, where the stock market, you are buying shares in a company and you're hoping that the company increases in value so your shares go up. What shorting basically is betting that you're borrowing money from the brokerage and you're betting that the shares are going to go down. So you're placing basically a bet that the shares are going to go down. So you want companies to fail. When companies fail, when you're shorting a stock, you make money versus buying stock on buying stocks from a brokerage. You're hoping the company succeeds. So shorting stocks is typically a bad thing. It's, you know, a lot of rich people do it. They take advantage of companies that are failing, and they will basically bet against that company and hope that the company fails. And with GameStop was doing really bad, especially because of the pandemic, and people were just not buying physical copies anymore. They were buying digital games. And what happened was a bunch of people got together on Reddit, and the people that were together on Reddit, they basically said, let's all buy GameStop stock to screw over the rich people and make a bunch of money at the same time. And so what they did was, you had people that were coordinating on Reddit, like thousands of people, and they were all just buying GameStop shares. And when they did that, GameStop rose, like it just started climbing. That's why the GameStop stock just exploded like a couple years ago, because people were just buying up a bunch of shares. And what happened was they were trying to screw over like the billionaires, the really rich people who were shorting the GameStop stock, because the rich people, they were hoping that the stock would fall down, but at the same time is the people on Reddit, they were all just buying up shares. And what ended up happening was the federal government actually even started investigating the people on Reddit for the FTC, Federal Trade Commission. That is the government agency that investigates, stock market for fraud, insider trading. Insider trading is basically when you have insider information on something that's going to happen, and you either take advantage of that to buy or sell stock. But about this is there's a lot of scandals in America where, and this is my opinion personally, but I think that there's a lot of corruption involved with politicians in the stock market, because a lot of politicians, they insider trade, where they know that a law is coming that might affect a specific company, and then they either buy or sell the shares in the company because they know the company's going to fail or the company's going to succeed. That's how a lot of politicians, they go into politics, and then within a couple years they become multimillionaires just with buying stocks because of a lot of the insider trading. It's very difficult to prove, by the way. To prove that somebody's insider trading is very, very difficult. The reason that it's illegal is because it gives people an unfair advantage. If you're going to know that something's happening with the company, like Lester, for example, in GTA 5, he does insider trading. When Lester has Franklin assassinate all those CEOs, Lester knows that the price of the company is either going to skyrocket or it's going to fall, and that's how he buys up the shares and then sells the shares in the bad companies. That is that's what Lester was basically doing. It was a form of insider trading, but that was he was having Franklin kill. But in real insider trading, what typically happens is people will have some kind of insider information. They will know that a company is going to fail, or they will know that a company is going to succeed. They might know that a company is going to roll out some specific new product soon, and everybody else doesn't know that, but that person knows that. And so they buy up a bunch of shares in that company, and then when the company rolls out that specific product, shares skyrocket, and the person makes a fortune. That's what insider trading is. So that's how, if you're wondering how politicians get very rich within a few years of being in politics, that's typically what they do, is they buy up stock in these companies that they know are going to succeed, or or they're gonna buy up shares in certain companies, and then when certain laws get passed and that company, skyrockets, or there's deregulation on certain things, they make a ton of money. It's very difficult to prove. That's why no politicians have, really gotten arrested for that, and the politicians know this. But going back, but basically that was it. Is that they were buying up GameStop stock in order to screw over the rich people, and a lot of rich people actually lost their money through that what people were doing on Reddit, and I don't blame the people on Reddit. The people that were shorting the stocks, the billionaires, a lot of them were scumbags, and so the thing about that is it's kind of funny how the really rich people got angry at the people on Reddit for basically taking advantage of the situation and making GameStop stock go up, because the thing is, what those people on Reddit were doing is the exact same thing the elites have been doing. They've been manipulating the stock market for over a century. But when the common man and woman manipulates the stock market, then they can't do it. You see, that's the elites. They get mad at the common man and woman for doing that. But, going back to Black Tuesday, and, basically what happened here with the stock market is people were, borrowing money that they did not have, buying up shares in these companies. And what happened is, remember what I said with the GameStop stock, when people buy up shares in a company, even if that company's doing crappy, typically the company goes up in value. Typically, the shares of the company increase a lot. And what basically happened is people were borrowing that money, buying up shares in crappy companies, and then the value of their shares was going up. It was going up high. And a lot of these companies were not at the same value that those shares were. So their shares were really, really high, but the companies were doing terrible in reality, and they were not valued at that much. And what ended up happening is some rich people noticed this. There was a lot of the first people that noticed this were the really rich people, and they noticed this, that these companies were worth a lot more than what they should be, because so many people are borrowing money and they're buying up shares. And what a lot of the rich people started doing is the rich people started panic selling. And I think that this started on Thursday, and it went into Friday, and on the Saturday and Sunday the stock market is closed. And so they were panic selling millions of shares. And then when the stock market opened, I think it was Black Monday, and then it was Black Tuesday afterwards. It just crashed. It just sank. Its stock market opens, I think it's at 9:30 a.m. New York time, Eastern time. That's when the stock market opens. So the rich people got panicked, or started panic selling, and the shares plummeted. And remember, all the working class people that have their money in those stocks, now their shares are worthless. Their shares are worth nothing. And the companies really have no chance of growing. The shares aren't going to go up in value. And so they really have no choice but to sell. So now more people are, the rich people started panic selling, then the working class people started panic selling, and people started, lost everything. And so now you borrowed a bunch of money from the banks, and you cannot pay that back to the banks. And so now what people are doing is people go to the banks, and they try to withdraw all their money. And banks don't have all of that money to withdraw. And remember, because banks were also borrowing people money, now the banks lost their money. And so the banks, at that time period, there was no such thing as federal FDIC insurance, which FDIC insurance is basically the government guarantees you up to $250,000 in money if the bank fails. So if the bank fails, your bank collapses, the government will compensate you up to $250,000 from that bank's value. So keeping your money in the bank today is relatively safe because of that. But back then, there was none of that. There was no FDIC insurance. So working class people lost their money, they owed the banks money, the banks lost a bunch of money, and then the banks didn't have the money to give people their withdrawals. So imagine that you have thousands of dollars in the bank, and then the bank tells you, sorry, we have no money in the bank, we've gone bankrupt, the bank has gone bankrupt, there's nothing you can do, you can't sue the bank, there's no way for you to get your money back, the money's gone, the bank's collapsed, your money's gone, the government is not going to compensate you. One of the things that I know FDR did is FDR ordered the banks to be closed for a couple of weeks so that they would generate a little bit more money, so that when they opened, people would have more money. But that was basically what happened. Is the Great Depression was ultimately caused by reckless spending. It was reckless spending, borrowing money people didn't have, gambling on the stock market, and that's ultimately what caused it. Today, the stock market is risky, but I wouldn't say it's as bad as back then, because like I said, today you can pull up an app on your phone, and you can set the app to sell when the stock falls to a certain amount, and you can basically check your stocks every couple minutes, basically what the stock is valued at. Back then, you had to read a newspaper or go to a stock building, and so people did not really find out about how bad the stocks were until they looked at the newspaper. Today, you can wake up in the morning, check your app on your phone, and it'll tell you what the stocks are valued at. But back then, people didn't do that, and that's what pretty much happened, is it crashed, and the stock market tanked the whole U.S. economy, and it caused a depression, and unemployment rose, businesses collapsed, and that's ultimately what happened. And people, after the Great Depression, the average man and woman didn't really buy stocks for close to 90 years. It wasn't until recently, with COVID, the average common man and woman started buying stocks again. And what caused the economic recession in 2008? In 2008, the economic recession, it was mostly caused by banks giving out loans to people. Again, people that did not have money, and they said, no credit, no problem. Remember the commercials? No credit, no problem. And people, started getting mortgages on their houses. And they did not have enough to pay it back, and then the bank started confiscating all these homes from people. People went homeless, and that's what caused the recession in 2008. It's kind of crazy how it happens. It's reckless spending, borrowing money you didn't have, and stuff like that basically happens. I hope I didn't bore people with the history. I like history a lot, so I like to talk about stuff like this. But yeah, basically, Great Depression was a very, very bad time period. Very bad economic uncertainty, and a lot of I will also say about this. This is what people don't think about. A lot of World War II veterans, the people that fought in Europe and the people that fought in the Pacific, they grew up as teenagers in the Depression. They went through this. They grew up very poor. Some World War II veterans even grew up homeless during the Great Depression. They grew up very, very poor. So chances are a lot of World War II veterans actually grew up in poverty. They grew up around this time in the most of them were teenagers around this time in the 30s.
You know how to get into one of these, Tommy?
Elbow goes through, reach inside. Easy.
And in the afternoon to fix the window back up. Watch. And learn.
You're a regular magician, Ralphie.
Come on, Tommy. Show me what you... Okay, come on. You got it. Have a good day, fellas.
First we got Al. He runs a bakery on Longman Street. You know it?
Yeah, I know it.
Al's late again?
Seems so. That's too bad.
You gotta turn off the radio again. Also, on the last part I actually got a copyright claim from music that was actually, close to 100 years old. I'm not joking. I did actually get a copyright claim on that. It was ridiculous. But yeah, that's how bad the Music Mafia is. It's literally, they will copyright claim you on anything, even a few seconds of, really old music in a game.
Okay, this is it. Watch what we do today, Tom. When it goes smooth, it's a breeze. When they put up a fight, sometimes you gotta think on your feet.
Sure.
Just follow my lead.
Sam, Paulie, how are you?
We're good. How's little Julia?
Ha, not so little now. She's turning into a pain in the ass, just like her grandma.
That's good to hear, Al. Real good.
Now, you got any trouble around here? Any punks causing problems?
No, nothing like that.
Good. So you got the money?
I got it waiting in the back room.
Tommy will get it. You stay here where we can see you.
It's been real slow this month, Sam. I was worried I wouldn't have enough.
Al, I know you'd never hold out on us, but it's good you worry. I mean, how can we protect you and little Julia without payment?
You gonna take all day, Tommy? We got places we need to be.
Yeah, I'm gonna talk about this in a moment here. Dear Mr. Torelli, October 15, 1930. This letter is notification that you are in default of your obligation to make payments on your agreed loan. This amount has been overdue since July 15, 1930. You have ignored requests to pay the debt. Unless the full amount is received in 2 weeks, I will have no choice but to instruct this bank to begin foreclosure process on your home and business. Please act accordingly. Manager of the Grand Imperial Bank. Christopher Marcino. And so that what foreclosure basically means is that the bank is gonna take the property. And this is
You gonna get the dough or what, Tom?
he is in massive debt, and at the same time he's being extorted by the mafia.
Where's the money?
Back of the shop, Tom.
Feccia! Voi ci succhiate il sangue!
It's on the table, brown envelope.
If anybody that speaks Italian in the comments, if you could tell me what she said, I would appreciate that. But I'm pretty sure she said something nasty to Tommy.
Qui. Lasciateci in pace!
I got it.
We'll see you next month, Al. Let us know if you need anything. Anything at all.
Sure will, Sam. Sure will.
And give our best to your mom, huh?
Yeah, you see this? There's all these subtle signs right here. This is a criminal racket. This is pretty much what this is. This is completely illegal, this. The thing is, though, is a lot of gangsters try to justify this, saying that, oh, it's a legitimate business venture, is, you know, we're providing protection to businesses. And you saw what Sam did at the end there, when Sam actually takes a cigarette on his floor and actually stomps it out on his floor, showing that he has no respect for his business. That's what that pretty much is. And this is the protection racket. The protection racket, this is probably the oldest scam that the mafia has run. This is the oldest one they've done. And protection rackets, these go back hundreds of years. These even went back to, you know, I would say even medieval times. Gangs did this. But it was the most famous of the mafia, the Italian mafia specifically. But what a protection racket basically is that these guys, they go into a business, and typically they're nice when they walk into the business the first time, and they say, you know, hello, you know, welcome to the neighborhood, you know, we run things here, you know, for a small fee, we'll protect you, protect your business, you know, keep, you know, punks from hurting you, you know, keep people from robbing your store, stuff like that, and they're really nice to you. But if you refuse, if you tell them no, they're gonna threaten you, beat you up, smash your store, burn down your store, in worst cases, kill you. But typically, they're not going to kill the person the first time that they meet them, because the reason for that is because they don't get their money. They kill the shop owner, they don't get any money. And so what they basically do is every month they have to pay a specific, you know, amount to the mafia, 10, 15, 20%, you know, sometimes it's 25, even 30%, you know, a quarter of their earnings. And they have no choice. They have to pay this. And here's the thing is, despite the mafia promising to actually protect you, and despite the mafia promising to actually give you protection, most of the time they don't do anything at all. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. So even if your store got robbed, if your store got vandalized, they would do nothing to protect you. Nothing. Nothing at all. The only time that the mafia would probably interfere is if another gang came in and tried to take over the store. That's the only time they would probably interfere. And not because they care about your store because you're paying them, because they're going to lose their money. That's primarily why. If another, you know, gang takes over the racket, they're going to lose. But they're not going to pay you for any damages to the store. They're not going to protect you from, you know, stuff. So basically, you're paying them for nothing. You're basically paying them to basically pick up an envelope, you know, once a week. And the thing about this, the reason that protection rackets are so difficult, the reason that these are so hard to get rid of, is because the guys who go and do the protection racket, the guys who pick up the money, they are not the guys in charge. They are the guys working for the people in charge. They're the guys the boss sends over to collect stuff. So basically, think about it this way, is that if you call the police, right, and you tell the police, you know, these guys are extorting me, you know, they're trying to, you know, take money from me, the police are going to arrest these guys who come to your store, but they're part of a larger organization. And what's going to happen is the boss is going to now find out that you called the police on these guys trying to collect protection money. And now the boss is going to send more people to your store, and they're going to kick the crap out of you, burn down your store, possibly kill you. So that's why protection rackets are so hard to get rid of, because it's a massive organization. You might have the people arrested that, you know, threaten you, but it's just such a large organization. It's oftentimes involved in these, you know, protection rackets. And Salieri has probably, you know, dozens of these stores in the area. Pretty much most of the stores in the neighborhood probably pay some form of protection to him. And about the foreclosure thing, is he's being foreclosed on, possibly because of this also, because he could have used that money towards paying off his loan, but instead of doing that, you know, he has to now fork this over to the mafia, and he's going to lose his, you know, his business. He's going to lose his livelihood.
Okay, next up we got old Eugene's place. China store up on Tallow.
He's not dead yet?
Almost. Heard his nephew's taking over.
This is exactly what I mean when there's subtle signs that Salieri is a massive scumbag, because Salieri says, you know, don't break any bones, we're better than that, we're not like Morello and stuff like that. Well, if you weren't like Morello, you wouldn't be extorting people in the first place, you wouldn't be doing stuff like that. You know, he talks about how he respects hard workers, but...
His name's not Eugene. Guy's a Chinaman. But it sounds like Eugene. Well, that's what we called him.
Paulie slammed his head into the counter back in, what, 27, I think?
Yeah, it was hilarious. After that, no problems at all.
If you look, you can still see the blood. Poor old bastard couldn't scrub it out. We keep some of these guys on our books to remind the Chinatown gangs they're in our city, not theirs. But we don't know Eugene's nephew, so he might need reminded too.
No, what I was saying is that Salieri basically talks about how he respects working class people. If he was respecting working class people, he wouldn't be doing this to people. If Salieri only involved himself in prohibition, just selling alcohol, he wouldn't be that bad. But the fact that he's, you know, doing crap like this, just extorting, you know, small businesses...
I'll cover this one, Sam.
You sure?
Sure, I'm sure.
He's doing the store on his own?
Yeah, when Paulie's built up a little steam, he needs to let it out on his own. Just gotta let him get on with it. It's his way. You can hear it in his voice. Gotta let him lone wolf from time to time. Keeps him happy. Yeah, Eugene's nephew ain't having much fun right now. When he's going, Paulie don't stop. Once we were putting a squeeze on his tailor over in Holbrook. Guy ended up in a wheelchair.
He's bragging about it like it's an accomplishment. And also, about Paulie beating up the guy's, the shop owner's nephew, the shop owners, they probably don't even give a chance for the shop owner's nephew to actually pay up. They beat up the shop owner the first thing they do just to basically show him that they're in charge.
Here he comes.
He's a fast worker.
Drive before the cops show, Tom. Next stop's Bill at the motel. Eugene's nephew's guy's money is ours next week, with some extra besides.
He doing okay?
He's okay.
How's the shop counter?
Yeah, that's seen some more blood.
How much blood?
And nothing he can't scrub out. Once he's back on his feet.
You want to come out with us again, Tom? Get to hear even more about Chinese nephew guys scrubbing their own blood out of shop counters.
Yeah, seems like it's not too hard.
Not hard. Kind of not hard.
I don't know. Comes natural to you guys. Don't see why it can't come natural to me.
So anyone could do this. Me and Paulie, we've been working these streets for years. You come in and you think you know it all.
I'm not saying that, Sam.
You've been a day on the job, pal. You haven't seen what we do. You haven't seen how we do it.
Sam, I think you oughta...
No, Paulie. This punk thinks he can walk in here like a big shot. I put greasers like him in the ground.
I think you gotta say you're sorry, Tom.
Sorry, huh? Well, I'd say sorry if I couldn't see the bullshit smile you're trying to hide.
You got him, though, Sam! You got him!
I could smell the crap in your pants from here.
Nah, you didn't get me.
When little Tony first came out with us, I had him on his knees before he knew I was yanking his chain.
Yeah, you did better than him anyways. Jesus, I hate it out of the city.
You hate it most places.
Yeah, but out here, it's worse.
How come there's a place so far out of town on our books?
Out of town's the safest place for deals. Safest place for card games. The safest place for most of the things we do.
We're expecting a big bag of money today. The guy owes. If it ain't big, boss will be pissed.
Yeah, this place is a real earner. Oftentimes the places that get you the most dough are the ones most people don't look at twice.
Just recently, the motel's had a new lease of life.
Last stop before Lost Heaven for rum coming up from Cuba.
They drive it this far?
Sure they do. And that's how we can sell it so expensive.
Bill's Motel has gotten to be the place where crates get exchanged. Salieri protects it, but he lets the other families use it too.
Even Morello?
To keep the peace? Sure.
Plus, it's far enough away that no one cares.
So long as everyone's making money, no one's gonna rock the boat.
Anyone else starting to miss the side of streets and sidewalks?
You not one for the great outdoors, Paulie?
He's not one for anything. Indoors, outdoors, in the city, out of the city.
I hate it out here. Like when we sit in the field doing some booze handover or something. It's always knee-deep in shit, and most times it's dark and cold as hell.
That's why it's good we got you now, Tom. You can do all the jobs that Paulie hates.
Well, happy to oblige.
Okay, there it is.
Finally. Wait for us here, Tom. We'll be back in a bit.
Okay.
No smoking.
Tom, I took one.
Jesus Christ, Paulie!
Tell Salieri from here on out this place is ours. Capiche? And don't come back, or you'll end up in worse shape than your friends.
Get Sal. They're trying to beat information out of him.
I gotta get you to a doctor.
I can wait. Get Sam out of there.
Okay. Okay, just hang on.
Who wrecked the motors? Give me a name.
It's a president. Okay. Took out a few of them quietly already.
Next time I'll tell him. I'll tell him I had enough of this bullshit. Tired of this crap.
There's a bunch of them down here. There's a guy in the bathroom upstairs, I know that too.
Books are open. Gotta impress. Next time I'll tell him. I'll tell him I had enough of this bullshit.
The car's still outside. I know.
Robert Giulotti Council. Bring prosperity. Elect Robert Giulotti for City Council 930, a trusted figure in Lost Haven, owner of boat yards and industry, employer to thousands, friend of the city, dutiful father and husband. And,
Why the hell didn't we just rub them all out?
Morello says we don't want to war, not yet.
Oh, beating other guys gonna stop that?
They wrecked our motors. You can't let that kind of shit slide.
okay. Use the controls to get here.
Bitch just don't listen.
Wait for the right shot opening.
Gonna come in here and mess with us? Nothing doing. Over here! I love it. Hit him while he reloads!
Get around him. Say good night.
Take him out!
Okay. There we go. And we're playing on, oh, this is a different gun, too, here. We're playing on, classic difficulty, which is gonna be a little bit more difficult, too. Some of the missions can get very difficult, like the race that's coming up. That's gonna be very difficult on a classic, but...
Sam, they really went to work on you, buddy. Christ. Come on, you'll be all right. You're tough as nails. Oh, shit. He's got the money, Tom. Oh, catch the bastard.
Where is Sam?
He's okay. Inside.
Then go get the money!
You can, I know on this mission, you can actually, sabotage the vehicle, but it makes the mission, I guess, too easy. Yeah, definitely was worth picking up the 1911.
That was when I saw the cost. What it meant to be on the inside. I should have took off there and then. But I couldn't go back to being a nobody.
So that's how a regular palooka goes from cabbie to mob enforcer overnight, is it? Just dumb luck?
Didn't feel that way at the time. Me parking on that particular street, taking a break just when Paulie and Sam are coming around the corner, what are the odds? I felt like, I don't know, like someone was watching out for us.
Whatever helps you sleep at night, pal, but it's a lucky break all the same. I mean, one day you're busting your back, doing an honest day's work in a city that's been trying to scrape you off its heels since the day you stepped off the boat, and the next you're stuffing your pockets full of Salieri's dirty money and lording it over the rest of us.
Yeah, it wasn't like that. Back then, Salieri didn't have the run of the city. For every buck Salieri made, Don Morello would turn 10. He paid off cops, politicians, judges, and anyone he couldn't buy, he scared into looking the other way.
He did seem to have the city jumping in its own shadow, I'll give you that.
You hear anything about Joey Crackers?
Yeah, got his name in the Morello file, sure. Boxer, right?
Yeah, that's the guy. The way I hear it, Joey was just driving to the gym one morning.
Oh, this cutscene, yeah.
About winning a belt or something.
God damn it! Moron! You're driving with your goddamn eyes closed? Look at this. Jesus, Mary, Joseph, Tom Morello, I didn't know it was you.
You know anybody else driving a rare import in this part of town, Joey?
No. Well, then, I'm sorry, I was driving real slow.
You're saying this is my fault?
No, sir. I ain't never been in no accident.
Well, repairs are gonna be expensive.
Oh, you're not gonna need that, sir. The tires are just fine. The grill's a little bent up is all. I mean, I got a cousin I can...
Now, for people wondering why the cops walk away, this isn't a completely unrealistic scene. A very powerful mob boss in a city like Chicago, for example, like, beating somebody up in the middle of the street, you do not want to be the cop to arrest him.
Someone spun you a tail, pal. You got an informant right there says Morello made a mint every time Crackers went to the mat.
That's true, too. And still, Morello left that poor sap dead in the street. Head all caved in.
That don't square.
Maybe the Don knew Joey's career was on the downhill. Maybe he was trying to scare some other guy into paying up. Who knows? Don Salieri chalked it up to Morello not being able to think straight when he was mad.
You, have any more run-ins with Morello's crew back then?
Not at first. For a couple of years after I joined up, things were quiet. We got into a few dust-ups with guys trying to muscle in, but elsewise it was just the usual routine. We're running booze, offering protection, me and the boys doing rounds to collect, small time. But I ain't gonna lie. Most days, we was also having a bit of fun.
I think that's the end of this chapter here. Yeah, it is. Okay, so, yeah, now 2 years has passed, or 1.5 years, more like it. I'm gonna wrap this part up here, guys. I'll have the next chapter up for you guys as soon as I can. Thank you guys for watching. I hope that you guys enjoyed this part. If you did, drop a like. I'll see you on the next one. Take care, everyone. Have a wonderful day, guys.